Lo diciamo all'inizio.
Pensa, l'anno scorso io sono andato, ha invitato lui, a Milano alla sede di Milano, che è la scuola più importante che c'è a livello di relazioni internazionali e geopolitica in Italia, presieduta da Vittorio Passi, lui che mi ha invitato. Non puoi capire l'accoglienza che mi ha fatto, perché si ha pochissimi. Tra l'altro quelli che ci occupiamo di queste cose sono quelli meno ideologicamente impegnati, perché abbiamo l'intenzione di sporcarci le mani per una cosa che si chiama guerra e che vogliamo che invece il fatto stesso che te ne occupi significa che tu sei un guerrafondaio.
E così, questa
è la diciamo, di una estrema sinistra che purtroppo condiziona il sapere. La geopolitica non è una materia universitaria. Io volendo non la posso manco chiamare geopolitica. Però tutti parlano di
questo non lo
geopolitica.
sapevo.
Quindi tutti parlano di geopolitica, ma non è materia universitaria, io lo dico. Cioè è una cosa vergognosa.
E l'ISPI quindi che fa? È una qualcosa oltre?
L'ISPI è un istituto privato, non c'entra
Non
niente
c'entra
con
niente con la
l'università. Molti di questi che vanno in TV, a parte Passi, che è ordinario a Milano, di scienza politica, ma insegna scienza politica, non insegna geopolitica.
Ok,
Quindi quei pochi che circolano ci conosciamo tutti.
no, a me interessa moltissimo, noi lavoreremo tantissimo se vuoi. Perché io ho creato l'Istituto Calabrese Politica Internazionale per fare questo.
E tra l'altro ho visto che è nato nel mio dipartimento, ma nel mio dipartimento non può avere un futuro, perché no? C'è proprio il cuore di questo che ho appena detto, cioè tu ti puoi occupare del problema della pace solo dal punto di vista di auspicio, quindi come impegno ideologico né sociale. Ma se tu, ma questo non è l'università,
No,
questa è
non
una
è
sezione di partito.
Esatto. Ma io ho lasciato l'università proprio per queste logiche. Allora, io non posso fare, e chiaramente mi avevano chiesto di fare, no, fare carriera. Non è quello che voglio fare. Non è quello che voglio. Io voglio invece affrontare i problemi, far riconoscere i problemi, far parlare le persone che la vedono da due punti di vista diversi. Questo voglio dire. E l'anno prossimo vedremo le borse di studio a università di paesi in conflitto tra loro. Vedremo le borse di studio attraverso le varie associazioni che noi prendiamo, agli ultimi degli ultimi per sentire le loro testimonianze e soprattutto far capire.
No? Buongiorno.
Christian coming from Poland.
Yes.
Ah, ok, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well. Nice to meet you as well. Salvatore, I can use the toilet, right?
Of course. No. This way. This. Ok, io sono
Io me la sono presa comoda perché mi hanno detto alle 10 e quarto, cioè,
sì, vediamoci insieme.
ma forse non c'è.
Fabrizio.
Ecco, professore, io sì, avevo portato qualche copia di questo mio lavoretto, magari a tempo perso può dare un'occhiata perché non è rientra, però è una ricostruzione anche abbastanza scientifica di quella che va
Ladies and gentlemen,
questa è una delle cose. Poi mi sono occupato anche di tradizione, della traduzione dall'inglese in italiano di opere di sconosciuti l'altro giorno come Carlo Igli, storico. No.
Italiano?
È uno storico dell'establishment americano che sostiene che nella prima metà del Novecento, all'inizio del Novecento, c'è stata una sorta di cabina di regia che ha nella colonizzazione creato le condizioni per gli scambi finanziari, le banche, nei paesi colonizzati, eccetera. E per questo è stato un po' boicottato. E questo l'ho ripreso io, è uscito per Oax. Va bene.
Si sente anche senza.
Dovrebbe. Semmai per quelle mi diceva di quelle foto, non so. Mi diceva Fabrizio di alcune foto che bisogna fare.
So, guys, let us start with the second part of today. And so, with extreme pleasure, let me introduce to you one of the most important experts in his matter here in Calabria, Professor Spartaco Pupo. Probably it is very hard to invent the argument, the issue more sharper than this one that you are going to attend now. Geopolitics. More sharp than this? No. Unthinkable. Right? So, thank you, Professor Pupo. Thank you for listening. Professor, you?
Okay. This is 1 minute for the coffee.
And
Thank you, everyone, and welcome to this lecture in about a problem that is very important in the contemporary world, in the contemporary international landscape. But after several lectures that on empirical reality of the world, a little theoretical lesson or lecture would not hurt. So I hope this problem of geopolitics is very important to analyze in this moment, in this specific moment. With the help of slides and with the help of speaking slow, I want to put you in the condition to take notes, because the issues of this lecture are unknown for many people. Geopolitics is a discipline. All people, or many people, speak about geopolitics, but very few people know what geopolitics is. Preliminarily, I want to say that no peace policy can be implemented without first understanding the reason of the peace and the reason of the war. And so the central field of the reason of the war and the reasons of the peace is the geopolitics. Peace is a goal. Peace is an an objective goal to be pursued, okay, to be pursued, but not only through proclamations, public manifestations, prayers, not only through pacifist ideology, but also through a disillusioned approach to the real problem of the war and the scientific or academic analysis of the issues that characterize the international life of the states. Peace, in my opinion, is a mere dream without or unless the scientific study of the state relations is pursued. Okay? The problem here is the international theory. International theory is the study of how governments interact with one another. It's the study of the international organizations. It's the study of the subnational entities or international institutions. This study shares similarities with political science, with geography, with history, in particular contemporary history, with economics, law, psychology, social psychology, political psychology, philosophy, etc., etc. But there is one topic, one issue that is frequently mentioned in public debate, in language of communication, in public communication, but is not taught in academic or university programs, especially in Italy and in Europe. There is a motive, a reason in this, but later we can see this. I speak of geopolitics. Okay, the first slide. Geopolitics is the study of geographical influences on power dynamics in international relations. Arguments about the political effects of geography, particularly climate, topography, access to the seas, environment, okay, have appeared in history of Western political thought. Since the ancient Greek, I speak of philosophers such as Aristotle, but also in the modern era, Montesquieu, Montesquieu, also other philosophers in modernity. But I want to say that the well-known collection of geopolitical literature, writings, is the large literature of the late 19th century and early 20th century. So we have very many authors such as Mackinder, Seeley, Haushofer, Russell, Spikeman, Tegart, Jackson Turner, James Barnum, and others that use geopolitical methodologies in their approach to the study of the political, international, and international relations. Geopolitics is understood as a perspective devoted to the relationship between space and, on the other hand, politics, between geography and politics. His father is considered the Swedish scholar Rudolf Schelia, who used the word geopolitics in 1899, bringing to synthesis two Greek terms, geo and politikos in Greek. Geo and politikos, that since then, since there's a great but unknown author, geopolitics has been associated with the issues and with the thesis considered to be oriented toward the spatial problem, toward the spatial direction of the German political world in that period, late 19th century. So it is associated with the politics of expansionism of German Empire, especially during the Second World War. In geopolitical thought, in fact, all geographic ideologies tried for many years, beginning with that of the natural frontier or vital space or living space. In German is Lebensraum, referring to an economic autarky, the autarky of German Nazi. The autarky of which the Nazi made an extensive use. Is it okay? For Hans Morgenthau.
Professore, mi scusi un attimo, se no in fondo non la sentono, ci
Ok.
siamo dimenticati il microfono.
No, abbiamo provato con uno,
Sì.
ma era... questo.
Prova,
ok.
prova. Proviamo.
Questo deve stare così. No, forse.
È al contrario. Ok. Proviamo.
Excuse me.
Sorry. Proviamo.
Ok. It's ok.
Vai, vediamo.
Vediamo, prova, sì, prova.
No.
No. Nel frattempo. Sorseggio la testa.
Perché poi aspetta che appunto sta venendo il salvatore.
Proviamo. Non proviamo.
Perché poi non si sente neanche la
Prove.
Il gelato?
No.
Geopolitics.
È uguale, sono spenti.
One moment, please. Ah, ok, così. Is it ok? No?
Sì, prova. Sì, sì.
Prova, sì.
Però poi sarebbe meglio. Non riusciamo.
Prova, sì, prova.
Questo, proviamo questo.
Sì.
Perdono. Vediamo.
For Hans Morgenthau, no? Ah, forse mi sentiva. Forse per la registrazione.
No.
Sì, prova.
Niente.
Listen. Listen. No. No. It is the problem of technology, progress, and a problem with geopolitics that is a very niente da fare.
Ok, vediamo questo.
Sì.
Intanto poi possiamo continuare.
Continuiamo, poi vediamo dove arriviamo. For Hans Morgenthau, for example, we are speaking of one of the leading and expert exponents of the real school of international relations. He was forced to migrate from.
Okay.
He was forced to emigrate from Nazi Germany because of his Jewish origins. For Morgenthau, geopolitics is a pseudoscience, not a science, not a political or social science, but a pseudoscience. Pseudoscience because it considers the geographic factor to be the absolute most important quality in the theory of international relations. The charge this author brought against it after the Second World War was geographic determinism. But the real reason, it is not my opinion, but the general consideration of the expert of this matter, the real reason for the exclusion from the international academic theory or from the international relations agenda is the identification with the politics of expansionism of German Nazi. After Hitler's attack on the Soviet Union in 1941, geopolitics is a bad term. From that moment on, geopolitics became immediately associated with German plans of world domination. This explains its limited use in the social and the political sciences. On the contrary, this term, geopolitics, is widely used in the public language and in journalistic communication. Okay. During the Cold War, Cold War is the war never broke out, but that fought between USA and the Soviet Union. American President Reagan said, "We won without firing a single shot." During the Cold War, geopolitics was relegated to the margins in the political science and placed an ancillary role to strategic studies. But in the early 1990s, geopolitics came back into information technologies that defer to an integrated space, both cognitive and natural. Today, it refers to the study of the relationship between international politics and the geographical space. That is, international relations from a geographical perspective. The intellectual horizon of what I like to call geopolitical thinking or geopolitical thought is characterized by the relationship with the other person, the other state, the other people, the other nation, the other as a pending danger, as a danger really perceived or real, perceived or real danger. The implication of competition and the implication of hostility in the relation between states in the world is the connotation arising from the international political state. Here, the key word is state. State. State comes from a Latin word, status. But what is status? In our lexicon, common lexicon, what is status? I can ask this to you. Status. Status is a condition. Status is status symbol. Status symbol. A condition. A situation. But a condition in this case of a political organization that control a nation or in a territorial space delimited by borders, by boundaries. Okay, this is state. States, according to Michael Oakeshott, British philosopher of the 20th century, very influential political philosopher, Michael Oakeshott, state was the gift that Europe, modern Europe, has done to the world. A gift. A kind of political organization so important that all the nations of the world have imitated it. And now, the number of states in the world is increasing year after year. Okay? So, these states are implicated in modern era, in modern epoch, in a confrontation that is assumed to be fearsome, driven toward a praxis oriented to confronting danger and opportunity, but danger to dominating. Geopolitics is therefore first and foremost a doctrine or a discipline of praxis. Of praxis in the startle competition for the space. Second, our second keyword, space. Space is the available field for the phenomena of politics, and any conception of politics cannot be separated from the conceptions of space in which these phenomena are located. The breadth of political space is realized through a centuries-long process marked by geographical discoveries from an European perspective, discoveries, and the external expansion of Europe political and economic power since the 15th century. One of the greatest 20th century political thinker that was a great interpreter of this process was the German thinker Carl Schmitt. Carl Schmitt wrote, I read it verbatim. As soon as the earth was understood in the form of a real globe, not only mythically, but as a scientifically experienceable fact, and as a practically measurable space, an entirely new and unimaginable problem immediately opened up, the problem of a spatial ordering of international law across the entire globe. The new global image of space demanded a new global ordering of space. This is the problem. Geographical space contains international politics, but it is international politics that organizes and defines geographical space. Therefore, there is an interdependent relationship between speciality and politicity. Speciality and politicity. Another slide. And this interdependent coexistence or relationship is represented in three ways: environment, theater, and post. Theater, when this international political space, it takes on a highly abstract quality on environment, the first quality, environment of international space. Environment is the reference to the natural and historical complexity of human experience. When we refer to environment, we refer to a complexity of human existence. This complexity is a historical complexity. We are members of a unique destiny in our history. And every people, every nation has its complexity, its historical complexity, as past but also as future and present. Is it okay? The second quality of international political space is the theater. Theater is the theater. So the representation of a highly abstract quality, the theater. With a public, but with some actors. Okay. Post is here very interesting quality because it is at the center of agreements and disagreements, or agreements and conflicts, or disputes, or at the center of treaties, diplomatical treaties, or between wars and peaces. Post. The main defining element of international political space, so, is the boundary, another very important key word in international relations: boundary. Boundary separates the inside from the outside. Boundary is a social construction, social and political construction. Even when it is a fiction, the boundary is actual. Even if it's fictioning, boundary is always real, actual, and no less symbolic than other social and political constructions. The boundary is a very important word in a contemporary political world, because it is the political line of separation, imaginary, artificial, or natural. Lakes, seas, mountains are boundaries, natural bounds. But in Africa, for example, boundary is artificial, because the presence of the great desert. Okay, so we can say that boundary sometimes is natural, sometimes is artificial, but it always plays a constitutive task in the organization of international life of the nations, because it represents the division on the map, official map, cartographic division. The reproduction of international political space passes through the cartographic representation of the boundary. The cartographic representation of the boundary on the map. Every state has its official map. Okay? In the geographic boundary, we have to say that if it is a physical and natural zone of transition, as in the photo, transition, very difficult in some case, transition from one side to another, the features of a region disappear and the different ones begin. Disappear a landscape, a climate. No, not always is this. This transition is very important in the identification of political space, because when the boundary is an abstract and unnatural dividing line, nothing disappears really. Nothing disappears from what is around it. And indeed, it is worth repeating. It is precisely the existence of boundary that produces a differentiation, otherwise non-existent in reality. Is it okay? In other terms, geopolitics investigates the problems or the questions linked to political boundaries. But according to a perspective not linked to empirical contingency, not linked or connected to present, but to historical and cultural ones. It is necessary to understand the historical reasons behind the boundaries. Historical reasons behind the boundaries. I can ask you, why? Why did nations have to separate and therefore oppose each other? Why? Opposition is the problem of the peace. Opposition delimited by a boundary is the real problem of the peace, with the problem of the political space. One of the main springs of universal history is the opposition of maritime powers in history and land powers. In a very important book entitled Land and Sea, 1942, is published, according to some art, is the finest book of Carl Schmitt. The finest, very important book of Carl Schmitt, because the first very book of geopolitics, land and sea. In this book, Schmitt reinterprets world history in terms of a fundamental opposition between these two basic elements of human existence, water and earth. The opposition of these two elements, water and earth. There is a fundamental revolution in the conception of world space. And this is an attempt to reinterpret universal history. You say that global history is a central theme of the studies, the historical studies. Few authors in the world have approached the history from a global perspective and not from a national or statal perspective. One of these is Carl Schmitt, but another is Arnold Toynbee in the Anglo-American area. Arnold Toynbee. Another is Carol Quigley. The history is the history of the world, not only the history of our country. So we can understand our history if we look at the history of all the world and at the spatial, intimate, profound dynamics that are behind the world history. It's a fascinating theme, the world global history. But in the 20th century, 2, 3, 4, 5 authors are spoken about this problem. Because all the historians were specialized in all the themes that regard the national, our national, their national history. Convinced that the world history cannot be understood by means of occasional concepts or superficial categories, occasional language lexicon, was validity is limited in both spatial and temporal senses. Schmitt makes use of what pre-Socratic philosophy had identified as the root of all things, the root of all things. Earth, water, fire, and air. The 4 elements of all things. Okay. In this work, Land and Sea, Schmitt argues that, I'm quoting, world history is a history of the struggle of sea powers against land powers, and of land powers against sea powers. The opposition between these 2 elements in the Bible was represented by 2 monsters, Leviathan and Behemoth. Schmitt visits this mythological, this biblical metaphor, this biblical metaphor, and revisit these great dichotomies of human history, of global history. Friend, okay. This is the slide, correct slide. World history is a history of the struggle of sea powers against land powers and of land powers against sea powers. The dichotomies of human history, friend and enemy, order and disorder, war and peace, fear and security, good and evil and evil. Okay. The first opposition is fundamental. The first opposition, friend and enemy, because indicates the very essence of politics. Both the domestic politics and international one. Friend and enemy. Schmitt is the first geopolitical thinker to define politics in a positive way. Okay. Positive way is the opposite of negative way. Politics is often defined in opposition to other fields of human experience. Ethics and politics. Economic and the politics. Society and politics. Philosophy and politics. But what is politics? So Schmitt is the first geopolitical thinker that tries to define politics in a positive sense. Politics is the field of the opposition between friend and enemy. We are speaking of public enemy and public, not private friend. Okay? What is friend and what is enemy in politics? It's difficult to describe this, but in Schmitt lexicon is very easy. Friend is a portion, a part of humanity in which we recognize ourselves. Friend. Enemy is a portion of humanity in which we do not recognize ourselves. These are two words in conflict, not in war, but that prepared the world as the extreme goal of this internal conflict in politics. All in politics is conflictual, because is the dichotomy, is the opposition of two reality, friend and enemy. So is true in the internal politics, internal political world, so in the state and outside the state, between states. So this is true for other fields of human experience. Economies. What's economy? Economy is the opposition of useful and harmful, valuable and harmful, useful and useless. Morality. What's morality? Is the reign of good and evil. What's aesthetics? The opposition of beauty and ugliness. Beautiful and ugly. So politics is the realm of friend and enemy. This is the conflictual nature, or as Schmidt called it, the tragic nature of politics that lies in this opposition, a tragic nature. Politics is a tragic nature. Human being is by nature an earthly being, a being who steps the earth, steps the earth. But he is also a being who is not reduced to his environment. No, because he wants to go out of his environment. He knows not only birth, but also a rebirth, but also a possibility of rebirth. He has a nationality, but he wants another nationality. Okay. If the opposition between land and sea is a constant in human history, we can see the opposition between Athens and Sparta, Rome and Carthage, Rome and Carthage, so another example in modern era. But it is, however, only with the modern age that human being is reborn as a son of the sea, a son of the sea. What makes possible the completion of the transformation of human existence from land to sea is the event that marks the beginning of modernity, the discovery of a new world. But we have to stay 1 minute on this word, on this term, modernity. What's modernity? What does it mean to be modern? Modern. We are modern people and not ancient people. What is this? What's the significance of this status of modernity? You know it? Do you know it? Modernity, modern. It's a very important word in a public debate, in a political communication. We are all modern. But modern society is the opposite of the ancient or pre-modern society. But what's modern? Modernity is an era, is an epoch composed that consists in 3 centuries, from 15th to 18th, 3 centuries. In this epoch, this is an epoch in which in Europe and also in the Western civilization, as is called, Western civilization, is characterized by very radical transformation of all the field of human experience. French Revolution in politics and so that the evolution progress in political institutions, but scientific revolution, religious revolution, industrial revolution. So the society that comes from this era is another very transformed society, in contrast to the pre-modern society. Okay, in geopolitical terms, modern or modernity began with the planetary spatial revolution. It was a spatial revolution, not a small rebellion in one nation or country, but a spatial revolution. Modernity in geopolitical terms is a planetary, global spatial revolution, triggered by the discovery of the New World. It was a revolution that swept away the geographical as well as political, economic and cultural conception of the world, of the history, of the antiquity, and the Middle Age as the obscure epoch of Claron. Europe is the realm of Claron, Enlightenment century, 18th century, the enlightenment of the world. This is the symbolic metaphor of the of Claron, of a new modern society, very different from the ancient society. It was England that first broken the enormous potential that streamed from the new global vision. In the choice in favor of maritime existence, we can see the key of the English and also of the Calvinist victory of the European Catholic powers. And we can see also the premise of the creation of a world empire, maritime, over the earth. The discovery of the new world to conquer had made possible a community of European peoples, Christian and civilized peoples, set against the rest of the world, and the order of such a family of nations, linked by common custom, by traditions, by religions. One religion, Christian religion, was based on the mutual recognition of the statehood and the so-called sovereignty. Sovereignty is a very important concept, because sovereignty is a basic principle of the modern European state and also of the oldest state in the world. Sovereignty as the essence of authority, sovereignty. The other two being space as the territorial space delimited by boundaries, and the third is the nation, people, the community of the people that habit in the administration of the state. So sovereignty is another important categorical word in the international relations. And we can see that the so-called Ius Publicum Europaeum, what's Ius Publicum Europaeum? Ius Publicum Europeo is the European international system that was before the collapse of ancient regime, before the birth of French Revolution. The pre-modern society, we can say. Ius publicum Europaeum succeeded in limiting the civil and the religious conflicts between the first states. Conflicts that raged in Europe by shaping what was land warfare and what was maritime warfare. It is regulating the affairs, the public affairs, as a clash between states, between armies, statal armies, states, but by armies of the states, no? With the exclusion, this is a very important fact, with the exclusion on civilian population. The civilian population was excluded from the hostilities in Ius publicum Europaeum, Latin expression. But the discovery of the New World, of the Americas, had also made possible the opening of the so-called Pandora's box. You say the Pandora box in Greek mythology is the legendary container of all evils in the world, of all evils in the humanity. So this was opened. The opening of the Pandora's box is coincident with a new vision of the land and the sea. Okay. This new vision shows the true extent of the conflict between the two elements, water and earth. Just as in the ancient Testament, Bible, the Leviathan struggles with Behemoth, so a new war, maritime, is no longer represented by the classical naval battle, such as the Battle of Lepanto. Lepanto, you know it. Lepanto is 1571. The battle between the Muslim fleet of Ottoman Empire and the fleets of the Holy Alliance ended with the overwhelming victory of the Christian fleets. Okay. This battle had not still been. Is conducted through instruments that are very new instruments, such as maritime blockade. So this does not distinguish between competence, professional competence, and absolutizes the enemy, and so also the civil population. It's a result of modern concept of the conflict between water and land. Not distinguish between competence and civil populations. This is what happens to earth and water, but in conclusion, let's consider the third element. Complicating the picture would be the entry of this new element, air. Air reshapes the relationship between land and sea and sets the stage for a new space revolution. A new space revolution. Air are the moment of a new revolution. the conquest of airspace and airspace as a technological process marked the end of the Ius Publicum Europeo. It's the end. The airspace revolution is the end of Ius Publicum Europeo. But to those who see only death, only destruction, only disorder, only the end of the world, we can respond that even in the struggle between the old and the new forces, right measures and sensible proportions arise. And so, at this regard, it is necessary consider precisely the airspace. Airspace is a political space. All is political in this world. It's good, it's evil, but is this. In fact, all the geopolitical thinkers are realists. Because there are 2 or 3 schools in political international relations: liberal scheme or realist scheme. Geopolitics is the field of real school, the school that from Niccolò Machiavelli want to see, to observe the reality as it is, not as we want to be it is. Reality is this, and the reality of political dynamics and process is real. So the human ability to exploit a third element. What is the third element? The sky. It's the third element of this revolution, modern revolution. This changed the relationship between land and sea from a dyad to a triad dependent. Moreover, not only political, but also technological variables. The atmospheric space overlying a state's territory is therefore included in its sphere of sovereignty. And only elsewhere in internationalized airspace is there a freedom of overflight without authorization that nevertheless wanes near coastal identification zones. Like the water of territorial seas, the air of airspace also becomes state territory. The development of aerospace capability produce a third geopolitical thematization of space, aimed at the claim to shape political conduct in relation to the supposed imperative of conditioning the human environment, the natural environment. Aeronautics. What is today aeronautics? Is employed in both warlike and civilian use. Okay, but it comes from military field, military camp. The first atomic bombing after a 2,500 kilometer flight from a US base in the Mariana Islands to Hiroshima on 6 August 1945 the grid air power as the domain of the air. The domain of the air. Since then, since that fact, the competition in the air and the technological momentum produced by missile launchers, now hypersonic launches, up to the invention of the drones. Drones are very, very important instrument in the warfare, contemporary warfare. So it has radically redefined the concept of distance and also the concept of boundary. Boundary. What's the boundary? In a redefined space, and what's distance? Above all, the elementary concept of the sky that allows this process is reduced, because reduced distance and transcend any physical separation. Any physical separation, artificial, natural, is vanished. This transformation, because it is not a reform, mere reform, is a radical transformation over the political relation between states, has also affected for the physical digital space. Cyberspace. Cyberspace is the first of pure human invention, conceived, developed, and produced by the USA. No? With the invention of cyberspace, a new need for security was created. Digital power today is mainly about the competition of states for the control of cyberspace in so-called cyber warfare, cyber warfare. Okay. Cyber powers have specialized units of the armed force whose mission is the destruction of the enemy's cyber infrastructure. And this destruction is related to the digital space. What's digital space? Digital space is now part of the international political space. Digital space is a consequence of the airspace, but is another thing in confront to airspace. Okay, is another space, digital space. Finally, the sphere of influence. Sphere of influence is a geopolitical concept that is a product of European imperialist expansions in the late 19th century. It is a determinate geopolitical space in which a single external power exerts a preponderant influence, tending to limit the independence of political entities within it and the freedom of action of other powers. Sphere of influence is a concept that is a determined geopolitical space in which a single external power exerts a preponderant influence, tending to limit, I'm quoting from a geopolitical dictionary, tending to limit the independence of political entity within it and freedom of action and other powers. But sphere of influence precedes from national and international boundaries. Sphere of influence is a very influent word in the contemporary international relations. Sphere of influence. It is not hegemonic word, but another word, another significance, because sphere of influence precedes from national and international boundaries, and the related principle of sovereignty is another thing in respect to this categorical concept. This means that the delimitation of spheres of influence between powers, statal powers, is an operational political practice, activities. And when powers recognize each other's sphere of influence, it does not result in the recognition of a right or even a legitimacy to control an area. Sphere of influence is the geographical area over which a hegemonic state exercised its political, military, economic, and cultural influence. In every part of the world, there is a sphere of influence of one hegemonical political organization. The division of the international political space into spheres of influence weaken understanding peace also in this way. The division of the world in the international political space into spheres of influence. Because sphere of influence established effectively, de facto, effectively. The division of international space corresponds to a continuous process of conflict and cooperation. Conflict/cooperation. Conflict in the defining spheres of influence. Cooperation in controlling conflict within certain limits. The determination of understandings about spheres of influence is therefore a fundamental aspect of international coexistence between nations and between political states. Finally, some bibliographical references on the problems we have addressed here. You can say we have books and volumes and works in Italian and English language. Morgan, Parker, Moro Defarge, Giacomello, Flint, Chianti Astute for a historical-political perspective, Diodato Chiaruzzi, and very other authors that have approached this problem. That is a very difficult problem, but I hope now you can better orient yourself in the difficult, but in my opinion, I hope also in your opinion, fascinating world of geopolitics. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions? Mr. Chair, formal close. I have one, Professor. May I ask you a question? Because I was extremely interested in the very beginning of your class. So you mentioned that the peace is something like a dream, right? Does it mean that it is impossible to reach peace? Does it mean that it's impossible to achieve, as it is possible to achieve a dream?
The peace as a goal, an ethical goal, is our most important idea in our existence. Peace between nations, between civilizations, peace between peoples in general, between race, is our very important, fundamental goal in our existence as human beings. But in a political arena, peace is the result of a complicated process. We have to study this process, not with public manifestation of our pacifist positions, but a scientific approach to the reality of war. Because the war is, for its conflictual nature, for the opposite between that portion of humanity that is friend and the portion of humanity that is enemy, is the tragic, mysterious fact of humanities. So, besides the philosophical approach, ethical approach, religious approach to the problem of peace, there is the problem of the political approach. Because for some authors, such as Clausewitz, a military general, Prussian, German, the war is the continuation of the politics with other instruments. But what's politics? What is politics? If the war is this, what is politics? For other authors, politics is the necessary organization for the coexistence between different peoples. If we are really equal peoples, there isn't the necessity of politics and of the state. But we are very different in culture, religion, history, narrations, experience. So politics is very important. So for the question, I think that peace is the object of study, and in Italy, in Europe, in the Western world, it is the moment to study the war as a consequence of politics, a consequence of political interaction of states of Europe. So peace can become our goal, but our specialization as political theorists, not all, but as citizens. If we study politics in our universities, in our or the education to citizenship, this is very important for our future, for our pacificated future. Okay.
Thank you very much, and probably I may continue your thought saying this, that you say that peace is not only the manifestation of our humor, right? I mean, not only manifestation of our specific willing, of our non-military thought and all that. It's not only the manifestation, but also action, right? So if somebody wants to achieve peace, it must act. And that's very important. Christian, yes, you're welcome.
So hello, my name is Christian. I just majored as a master's student of political science. So this topic is very close to my field of interest. My question is maybe hard because it is difficult to predict the future, but with all the contemporary conflicts that we have right now in the world, like the Russo-Ukrainian war or the Israeli-Palestinian problem, do you see the confrontation between two contemporary major powers such as China and the United States over Taiwan, for example, as inevitable? That's the first question. And the second, connected to the first question, is should we as an international community just accept that China, for example, has a sphere of influence and avoid war at all costs, or should we have, let's say, this moral, ethical way of protecting those who, don't really have a voice in the international community, for example, Taiwan?
It is a very problematic question. My approach is a historical political approach to this fact. But I think that the problems in this moment are that they are, and so we can say that the problems in all the cases you are indicated is the space. Is the space. Is the conflictual vision of the space, political space. And also the problem of influence from a space toward another state. And so is the situation in all the world, from Israel, Palestine, and China, and etc. I think that our tension, moral tension, is fundamental because our education is a problem that remain unresolved without a complementary study of politics. When we look at television, social network, look at the ability with which some interpreters and commentators speak about war and the wars in the world, we can try to have another approach, because the problem is the impossibility to the interpretation of the fact in a global historical perspective. We have studied historical nationality facts, but in this moment, the world invites us to another perspective, that is the global history as the global present of the war and of the peace. But the first moment is fundamental for the second moment. International relations is a matter that is not studied in many universities of the world. This is a prejudice because of our tendency to minimize the problem of the war or to exercise it. War, no. No. But we have to begin to study war because war is the realm of war. And the peace is a consequence of war. There isn't in the world a war that is not fought for the peace. All the war begin for the peace. All the wars begin for the next peace. There is not a war that begins without the perspective of peace. It is a paradox. It is a paradox. War for peace. It is a paradox. But the dynamics that is behind this paradox are invisible. Invisible at the most numerous person in the world. Are invisible for the majority of the persons in the world. But is the truth of an elite of specialist theorists of these questions. Okay, so we have, as a young people, as a young student, open our horizon and speak about politics in another way, the way of an academic specialization with master as this master, with courses and approach of problematizing the war and its relation with the peace. Okay.
Another question?
Hi, my name is Santino. At the State University in Italy, normally audited, because this is a big problem now in Argentina. Because now their tax money is well used.
I have heard nothing. May you repeat a bit more loud? A bit more loud.
Our state university in Italy is normally audited because it's now a big problem in Argentina. Because now if their tax money is well used.
The problem of tax money,
Or state universities.
I understand this, but I think that there is a problem of relationship between economic problem and politics. Yes, there are very way to study this relationship because in Italy, in every faculties, university faculty, there is this equiparation between economic and politics in faculties of economy, and also in the faculty of political and international relations. Also in the University of Calabria, we have two course of degree in this address of curriculum of formation. Yes, but I want to say that the contemporary world is a world that has said Harry Huntington, you know it? Samuel Huntington, the clash of civilizations and the new order. Argentina and Italy are the nation of the so-called, can say, Western world. Americans part, South of America. There is a problem with this, and another civilization in respect to United States or not. But the Western society is unified by, is the unique in this civilization, religious tradition. So many modes of existence are similar, but few different. In the formation, there is the formation of student. There is the major topic of differentiation, in my opinion. And so Argentina, but also the South of America in general, have a different approach to the problem of political from perspective of economical, because there was in all the world the Marxist prejudicial and the materialism, historical materialism. So war is another phase of capitalism, and so is the evil of humanity. It can be true or not, but we have studied. And in the universal, as the term says, universal, all the science, without any prejudice. Universal, so economic, political, philosophy, and also geopolitics, without prejudice regarding the origin of this world. We have seen it, no? The origin, all the world have an origin. But geopolitics is, they remain, is fundamental, is important for our Pacific conservation on this world. With the economic perspective. Okay?
So lei è molto inquieto, no?
Sì,
È bellissima questa cosa, professore, la ringraziamo perché era quello che
cerco di...
oggi abbiamo creato proprio l'ambiente che ci interessava. Bellissimo. Grazie.
Okay. You have mentioned that peace is not just word, but it's about actions. So if we took a case of Israel and Palestine, how, from your perspective, should we take an action with the whole world to stop this war? From your perspective.
Thank you, it's a very important question, but I can say this. I have studied in my activity of modest political thinker some authors that have said this. The relationship between war and peace is a problem of diplomacy. Peace is the product of a good diplomatical activity or a good treatise, good dialogues between the governors of the states. Okay. This is in a political theory. This has a name. His name is balance of power. Balance of power. All the nations in the conflicts can stop fighting if there is an equilibrium a balance of power. David Hume, in 18th century, was the first to theorizing this concept of balance of power. When a nation projects hegemonic programs in a moment in a moment of history, the other nations have to unite their energies and their realities. So the politics of allegiance, of equilibrium. So in this way, it is possible a solution of the problem of war. Treaties, diplomatic activity, balance of power. Also, we can do as human being, rational human being, but also war. Ahimè, non mi ricordo come si dice in inglese, but also war is a rational solution of the cause. Because all that human beings do are rational activity. Also war. Also it's irrational. It is the tragic origin of politics.
Do you think we have a balance in powers between Israel and Palestine?
No.
It's not equilibrium, right?
No, because the hegemonic role of Israel in the area, but it is a complicated history. We cannot treat this here. And this hegemonic role has historical reasons. But there is not, in this moment, a balance of powers in that zone of the world, in my opinion. Because of the absence of the Arab nations that do not solidarize with Palestine. So there is a problem of relationship, good relationships between the nation of Arab origin. I think.
You have mentioned that we have to take an actions like international conferences or the international governments should take an action, but they already did, and they have some rules. Even the war have to direct it, but by some rules, but Israel doesn't follow these rules, like killing the kids, women, and all of this.
We have to.
It's not about the collaboration between the Arabic countries. It's an international issue for the world, not only the Arab. So I think we have to take an action, not only a conference.
Yes, but the problem is the dynamics of the sphere of influence in that zone. Iranian influence, American influence, and the absence of Europe, because the absence of Europe is the problem for the creation of balance of power in that zone, I think. And the absence of Europe is the accelerator factor of, but the question is very complicated. And so I have take on another perspective. This is the perspective of historical. We have to read history of the nations to understand the real reasons of this war, also in this war, and the solutions and the peace derives from this. From this, it's difficult, but without diplomacy and a correct balance of power, the peace is not arrived in that region. Is a very, very remote. Okay, so there is also the crisis of liberal scheme, because liberal scheme is the limitation of political power through the creation of international institutions. Liberalism is also called internationalism because of the creation of international realities that have to control, limit political power of state. But there is evident crisis of this scheme. Liberal scheme is not sufficient because of controlling politics, controlling with limited power or institution that can control and limit the crude political power also in the war. Is our future project, but remains a future project. We have to create another perspective to resolve our question, because in my opinion is the realism, and so to arrive to treaties of peace, to diplomatic vision of the things, and major colloquium, major interdependence in a commercial economic area, because also the globalization of the commerces and the globalization of the questions can help, but at the condition that we have to study the real problems connaturated with political activity of the states. Because in international arena, we are in a state of nature. As we have abandoned state of nature, you know, the contractualism. See, this is the theory of a liberal scheme. We have abandoned the natural state with the civil states through the pactum, the contract, social contract, contractarians, authors, Locke, Hobbes, Rousseau. So in the international world, we can create a unique government of the world. This is an utopian project. Because of the profound diversity of our nations, the profound diversity of our custom, religion, and interest in our existence. So we have to study other way to arrive to a pacificated world, not the utopian of a unique world because this is the domestic metaphor, the domestic force. As an internal problem, an internal life of our state, we have solved the problem with the creation of the state. So in the global problem, in the global international life, we have to create a state, global, international, universal state. I think that it is impossible in a world in which there are 192 states in all the world. It is impossible. Where is the state? We are in a pluriversal, not in a universal. Pluriversal. We have to start. Let's study politics and international relations. Study is study history, is global history, and approach which skepticism, because skepticism is the attitude to put in discussion ourselves first of the others. Skepticism is the contrary of optimism and utopical question of dream of redemption of humanity. We have to change our concept of the world and try to be more skeptical in our affairs. Put in discussion ourselves, our truths, convictions, and open ourselves to the truth and convictions of the other. So there is a possibility to communicate between nations and countries in this world. But is it okay? Is there another question?
Yeah. Not a question actually, but I have one comment. You have mentioned the intention of each war of peace, that they want peace, right? You have mentioned that the intention behind each war is peace at the end.
Yes.
Right? And you continue that all human beings are taking rational actions. And you said that war is rational. Where is the rationality of for instance, Israel is trying to say that all the world is Palestinian tourism, and while their action is what is the real meaning of being heroes. Why? Because they are killing children. What did those children that to them actually? What? The woman, the house, with no reason or rational reason behind. So this is only a comment, if you not truly a question, because
Yes.
I see this cannot be a question that be answered by a protestant, right? It could be answered by the whole world that are trying to talk about politics and peace and calling for human rights like United Nations and for child labor gaming and for the child rule. So, thank you.
Yes, when I speak of the peace of our goal, I speak of our goal as scholars, as a student of a university, as rational people. But there are in the world many peoples that have as a goal the war. So, as a rational being, the peace must be the goal and not the war. But the war has its level of rationality. When and the why. Our Cold War that clarified that the world was divided in two spheres, in two parts. through an ideological scheme. The liberal world, capitalist world, and the collectivist world. USA, communist world. After the end of this divided world, we are beside a new world. And this new world is characterized by the clash of civilizations. So war is the natural or rational consequence of the clash of civilization. This is the prophecy of Huntington, for example, but other authors that have spoke about this possible clash. Ideology was our rod of safety for many years, and for 1 century, you can say, 1 century. But after this ideologized world, why the war? Why the war? It is not the economic matter, the reason of the conflicts between states. This is a Marxist interpretation of the war. But paradoxical, Marxism has not a political international theory. Marxism has not an international view of the world. Speak of clash of classes, speak of internal states, speak of the necessity of internationalization of proletariat classes, but Marx and Marxists authors have not an international political theory. Because of this, because in some letters there is in a correspondence with Engels some judgments with referment to Mexico question, but theory is another thing. Theory is a systematic, organic tractation of international relations, interstatewal relations. So, after the ideological clash, we have to consider the cultural, and in that region of Palestine, Israel, the problem is cultural. It's cultural and coexistence between two states, but two nations. There is a difference. States and nations. Nations is a community of destinies, a community of values, of history, of custom. Nation is an abstract idea, but is real in the political conflictual life. Is abstract, but is real when we have to do with the prospect of Pacific convivence. But state is the political bureaucratic organization. State national is the problem, but state national reality is also the solution of our problems, in my world. All universal project in this moment is very difficult. And we see the political development of our times is very difficult from this universalistic perspective, because the reason of every nation is different from the reason of other nations. So diplomacy, dialogue, exchange, and cooperation. In cooperation, I don't know another way.
What can we, as normal citizens, do, yes, in favor of peace? Like, what action do you think we could take as normal people in favor of peace? Because we understand reading, thinking, being acquainted with the cultural situations, historical, all of them. But now, today, we're in this meeting, looking forward to peace. We understand the different situations and the differences between countries, but we would like to do something about this. Getting together, because you were saying like the utopia about pacifist. I understand what you mean, but perhaps we could do something about it, at least our little rate of sand to a better world.
We have, I think that we all are pacifists in our intimity, but not only in the political arena, international arena, also in our private life. We want peace and not war, I think. But when a human being wants all the same things, the problem is this Immanuel Kant calls this competition between humans as a natural competition. So there are in this world some utopian projects because have not rational implication in reality. Dystopian words and projects, but I don't say that utopianism is not a valid paradigm, but is a ideological tendency and not a scientific school. Pacifism is an ideological tendency, but it doesn't make project in political theory. The goal is the peace, okay, but how we can organize our existence without states? Is it a question for you? The states is the product of the history of the humanities. But without the state, in what other measure we can organize our conflicting existence? In political perspective and in political road, real road, because the intentions are the same in all of us, but the problem is the realization of the project, not the project in itself, but the realization of the project in the plurality of cultures, in the different, without different difference of culture, religion, etc. We don't need to organize in a political form of our existence, because state is not necessary. But we are equal beings in many things, but different in the way to organize our lives. This problem. We need to organize our existence politically, but the state is the problem and also the solution. Because the problem, we have to construct supranational entities. But supranational entities that was born in the history was dictatorship, as Soviet Union, totalitarian reality, also bureaucratic system, as European Union, for example. But also the state is the guarantee of the garant of the Pacific continent. This is the result, the product of many generations of many people in a global history. The state has the unique instrument of organizing our life. So, in a world, there are many states, and the war is la dico in italiano, una evenienza sempre possibile, da evitare il più possibile, ma una realtà purtroppo possibile, che noi dobbiamo in qualche modo trovare gli strumenti per contenere. E il diritto, noi abbiamo sempre pensato that yes, no, I speak in English. Jurisprudence, international rights, human rights is a very important way, but is limited by the impossibility to control the activity of the single states in this guarantee. Okay, so the task to control states through the international rights, is insufficient. Okay.
In the past few years, there has been a very interesting change in psychological fields, which they stopped investigating the sickness and start investigating the wellness. There was a change in the approach of the field. I mean, instead of investigating how or why people is depressed or how to get out of the depression, they start investigating why or how people is happy. So my question is, we've all studied from very young how nations go to war and why go to war, but we never studied how nations stay in peace and why or how they stay in peace. And I want to know that if in this area there is some change also, or there is some change in the approach, because maybe it will help to think differently.
This is a question for for a thesis for psychologist college, because I think that every people has its idea of good and idea of happiness. It's different from people to people, if I understand your question.
Yes, well, my question is about that peace. If there is a change in programs or the approach of conflicts of nations, and instead of
Yes, many changes.
wars, they start studying how they stay in peace, or how nations are in peace. Because at least in general, for generations, we studied how they go to war, not why they stay in peace. I don't know.
Yes.
Clearly.
I think there's his attendance is that cyclically arrive to our theater of wars. We know why have the war, but we don't know why the peace. But because the peace is the negative consequence of the war, is the good consequence of the war. So I tried to say this when I say that a war is the step for the peace. But the peace is the last label of approaches that begin not with the war, but in the moment that is first precedence of the war. Understand the reasons of the war. The reasons of the war is a political understanding. Understanding the reasons of the peace, it is not political. It's psychological. It's ethical. This is the problem. It's the clash between the political reality of the war and the ethical significance of the war. It's the same clash that there is with our consideration of the state. Why the state, with its power, its coercive power, its a command, its a law? Because we are a pacific man. We are a good person. We can live each other without state, but it is not possible. So we can understand the reason of the peace. If we understand the reason of the war and the interest that are in between the party in conflict. In my perspective, that is a political perspective. So there are many reasons, ethical, religious, economic reason. But in the political perspective, it is. The glasses are political. Okay?
Thank you. Professor, today you established the absolute record of this master. 50 minutes of questions and answers.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I'm honored.
The most interesting lesson for now.
Lord.
So guys, thank you very much for and Professor Foucault again. So for today in the evening at 6 o'clock, we have this forum with the ambassador of Somalia. Until that time.
That's Thursday before.
The problem was my poor English.
No.
Okay.
Anzi.
Il problema è il bagno della lingua che manca, purtroppo
No, ragazzi, la presentazione del movimento per loro sono più coinvolgenti di tutti.
è quello che cercavo.
Differenza stanno da un po'.
Era quello che cercavo.
Un foto del sì.
Ricordami che io buono.
No.
È un problema, sta diventando un problema, è il problema dell'età in generale. Allora, facciamo tutto, la mia, I have two thanks, basically, Fabrizio Arcuri, for the invitation, the honor that is, and friendship, and his capacity of organization, is unusual capacity of organization. Vulcanic person. Thank you very much.
Gioco di squadra.
Grazie a tutti. Speriamo di rivederci in qualche parte del mondo. Sì. Yes. Oh.
I'm also the professor.
Yes, I saw it.
I made a selection one day about the geopolicy, but from the political point of view.
Yes.
You make from the philosophical. Always.
Yes. I have not.
Yeah, but you can write to me, then we will.
Yes. I can write it.
I don't know, Professor, are you in a hurry? Do you still have time for a personal question or?
Yes, after.
So just in case we'll be in contact.
Sorry for the, yes, can be, yes.
Yeah.
Now I write my, pen is here. What I have for you this book. This book is my translation of writings on war and international activity. It's the first English edition. So I will donate this to you, and I write
Thank you very much.
my reference here. I address, email. I have the mail address. I want to write your name, but I have not ticket. Okay. It is okay.
Yes, of course. Thank you very much.
Sparta Cocubo.
I will write to you because it's an email, and we'll be in contact.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to you.
That's my student, so yeah.
Yes. Oh, okay. It's very, very intelligent. Profound questions you ask, but it's very difficult to respond in few minutes and in English. We have to speak in the same language.
Yes,
for
especially the
understanding.
complexity of the circumstances. But just to make it sort of quick, I wrote my master's thesis on the Russo-Ukrainian War in the prism of global geopolitical rivalry between major powers. And in contemporary academic circles, we often have this clash, as you spoke about, the realism school of thought and the liberal or idealist school of international politics. In your view, in the Italian, so to speak, academic circle, what is the explanation for the origin of the Ukrainian war? Is it, like we often hear from contemporary offensive realists like Mearsheimer, for example, that the West did not take into consideration the Russian national interest of not having a Western presence on its borders? Or is it more an opportunistic conquest because of reshaping the world order through failed, for example, American policies such as the disastrous withdrawal of Afghanistan, January 6th, COVID, and yeah, what is the overall assumption?
The first interpretation of the facts, because the second way is more fantascientific in our language. The problem is the want of expansionism of the Russian Republic and the task of Ukraine to adhere to European Union and NATO alliance. So there are some scholars that are liberal in our orientation that speak of the necessary task to arrive on peace with consideration of economic kind. But another school of international relations, more realist, think about the reorganization of all the area, of the European area, the interest in the relationship to Europe. This is the Professor Pazzi of the University, Catholic University of Milan, my friend. This is a vision more profound with respect to the necessity to see the relationship between Russia and Ukraine in a historical perspective, because Ukraine is the first republic that, with the referendum in 1991, opened the democratization of all the area of the ancient Soviet Union. So was the first nation to open to the new world and to abandon the old world of the communism world. So these are precedents, a real causation of the conflict because of the tendency of Russian to the empire, to the great Russia of Peter Peter the Great saw in Putin there is this cultural heritage, and we have to study profoundly this relationship between two nations, different nations. The other school is the other school, more liberal in the sense of the research of international institutions can try to diplomatic way, etc. But this is the major difference. And there are tendencies of the right that are philo-Putinian.
Yes, unfortunately.
Non mi piace il tavolo, forse dobbiamo mettere salottino, sì, perché dobbiamo fare, perché accoglie e tolgo, capito? Non è conferenza, no, è tutto di là. No, ho messo tutto di là che c'era una confusione ieri. No,
Yes. Second World War in the results, in the product, in the consequences in new organization of the Europe that is diet with the Nazi fascism.
You know, because it's very interesting, and actually one of the reasons to unpack this whole debacle.
If you want references in this school, you can write to me.
I think.
Yes.
Yeah, I got the email to Professor, so I will share with you.
But I will only say I very much appreciate the remark about Athens and Sparta, because I also included it in my thesis.
You can consider Rome and Carthage.
Yeah.
Because there is in our heritage the tendency to consider Greek words and to arrive directly modern. But we are Romans in our region. So the problem of Romans, the Roman Empire, is political because of their political experience, not philosophy, but experience as people, as a nation. And so we have to consider the Roman experience because it's a mere paradigmatic, mere metaphorical, I don't know. But we have to consider also this antinomy between Rome and Carthage, because this is the problem of sphere of influence, the hegemonic project of this, because they were not the clash between two polies or poliases, but two empires.
Yeah.
Two empires, two worlds, and the empire is the empire. In my opinion, is the clash of two Weltanschauung, empire and another empire with the union with the Western civilization of Ukraine. So Rome and Carthagenism is important in this relation. Okay.
Thank you very much for
Thank you to you. Very kind.
this situazioni that you might agree with. No tak.
Nie wrócił do tego obecnie na... Nie, no bo niestety łącznie z Stefanem.
Can we hire a car from here?
Car?
Are you free tomorrow?
Me? I don't know.
We are just planning to go around like Phoenix or somewhere, like around to
What my
free,
car?
yes.
Ehi, prova. legano eventualmente il mixer e come dice lui non ti, negli altri computer inserisci e io mo se riesco per questo problema mi registro, ma la traduzione ehi, io mo ce l'ho. Prova. Ehi, ora mi serve. Ehi, vorrei mo vedere se funziona la traduzione, perché così mo dovrebbe funzionare. Ehi, prova. Massimo? Non è quello. E funzionava.
Prova 1, 2, 3. Prova 1, 2, 3. E lo fa. Perché non lo fa da qui? Uno, due, tre. Cioè, mo andava.
Esatto. Ah, non capito.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Va più veloce se mettiamo sia italiano che... però ora non so, questo non lo so fare. Mostra sottotitoli originali e tradotti, vediamo? Ok.
Massimo è andato a Milano. Adesso lo fa. Mo, chiudiamo questo.
Prova, non c'è. Ehi. Prova. Ehi. Prova.
Ma non aveva... no, vabbè, dovrebbe essere Per cosa? Ho fatto un altro PC se non sbaglio.
Mi hanno dato sopra perché stavano arrivando.
Ok.
Se vuoi arrivare prima. Salvatore? Sì, sì, qualcosa. Salvatore mi ha detto che sì, no, abbiamo situazione di una fase di nuovo. Perché se non succedere, loro dire che loro non dovranno validarlo. E sappiamo la cosa di ieri che c'è stato il camion validato
Prova, ehi. Prova. Sì. Prova, ehi. Prova, 1, 2, 3, prova. Cominciamo a vedere la luce forse. Prova. Sei qui. Prova. No, è qui. Ehi. Ho cambiato spinotto, vediamo che fa. Prova. Ma poi ci deve mettere tutto, questo è molto performante, quello no. Ehi.
Le opzioni dove sono? O non funziona bene
Lo spinotto proprio.
Esatto.
Anche perché si muove un po'. Però con questo no, vedi? Questo è l'altro cavo.
Però a meno che non è proprio un difetto questo del computer che abbia questo cosa.
Prova. Se io spengo e dico prova, no, vedi, c'è ancora. Quindi non viene da qui. Allora, andiamo qui. Se cerchiamo qui. No, mi fa andare sul web. Via. Non mi serve. Riproviamo da qui. Perché è quella che apre mixer volume. Andiamo al microfono, eccolo qui. Come si scende? Ah, ecco. Vuoi vedere che per ogni programma questo va impostato? Dispositivo input predefinito, eccoci qui, vediamo. Ehi, prova. Ehi, come se non prendesse lo spinotto. Ehi, non è ehi. Dispositivo qui. Ehi, no, così no. Dispositivo. Questo mi devo toccare. Ingresso forse. Comunque è un problema qui, perché, ecco perché prima funzionava e poi non ha funzionato più. Quindi se io stacco qui paradossalmente dovrebbe... No, questo scusa, non ho sbagliato io. Questo. Ok, prova. Andiamo a vedere ora il microfono. Questo lo chiudiamo. Prova. Quindi se io lo stacco, lo rimetti il traduttore, mi dispiace. Questo puoi chiuderlo anzi. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Spegniamo, non c'è più. No.
Però
E ora c'è. Perché?
non le recepisce bene, esatto.
Come se arrivasse. Ora come si sente? Come si sente adesso? Malissimo. E adesso come si sente? No, tutto a cavolo. Però quelle sono le uscite. Uscita 1, uscita 2. Oh, è la telecamera. Però vedi, non va bene.
No, la prende a metà.
Prende molto male. Molto male. Ma c'è qualcos'altro acceso? No, gli spilli non ci sono.
No.
Quindi lo prendo. Da qui prova 1, 2, 3. Vedi? Con tutto che noi l'abbiamo inserito. Aspetta, allora riproviamo con ora che rimane così. Vediamo. Qui che c'è qualcos'altro. Allora, chiudiamo questo. E questo non è che c'è qualche invito sulla privacy, no, non ci ho guardato. Qui non c'è niente. Qui non c'è niente. Consente l'app che c'è il microfono. E se non lo disattiviamo? si prende l'HDMI, però quindi staccando l'HDMI doveva funzionare assolutamente il sistema. C'è sempre, riprova, faccio prova da mix proprio. Oppure è lo spinotto che...
Possibile rilevare il microfono?
Non è possibile.
Adesso sì, perché si è fatto sicuramente, però prima evidentemente abbiamo staccato qualcosa.
E ora?
Vedi?
Ora vedi, sì. Vedi, lo riprende di nuovo. Non c'è un altro ingresso,
No,
microfono,
esatto.
è quello, Quindi o è l'aggeggino qui dentro, che ci sta facendo uscire pazzo. Non va. Cioè lui l'ha messo qui perché lo voleva usare senza.
Perché ieri sera abbiamo provato e praticamente l'abbiamo
Sì.
messo
Facciamo
di...
un'altra cosa. Ma poi dopo la radiomicrofono si sente.
È quello che però ieri l'abbiamo provato giusto per
Per avere
permettere...
l'idea di se funzionava.
Esatto, e per permettere almeno, se proprio è questa mattina, di fare la traduzione. Però effettivamente in questo modo così non è collegato...
No. Quella è la cosa strana. In tutti i computer, come attacchi lo spinotto ti fa scegliere. Qui no.
Non so.
Amici miei. Sì. No. Mi viene da piangere.
Che funziona?
No, mo lo sto dicendo, però non è sicuro, non va come deve andare.
Perché non prende bene la voce.
Sì, c'è qualcosa che non va, ma io credo sia proprio il PC, perché quando inserisci in un PC di nuova generazione lo spinotto, ti chiede se vuoi collegarti con lo spinotto, con la cuffia.
Sì.
Questo non lo fa,
E proviamo l'altro?
ma l'altro non ha, quello, no.
No. C'è un altro, c'è il mio che è un Mac.
E poi non ci può collegare nulla al Mac, tutte queste cose.
Però sì, abbiamo quello che ha degli attacchi.
Però è una cosa che deve
Dovremmo
fare lui,
reimpostare
perché io non... deve rimetterci tutti Zoom, tutto. Vediamo sta cosa.
Questo che abbiamo visto ieri sera, infatti.
E aspetta, c'è quel microfonino della...
È quello che stavamo pensando anche
piccolino per
ieri.
provare, per vedere, giusto per... Veramente possiamo provare anche di video delle telecamere. Aspetta, facciamo così che almeno ci possiamo dare qualche incertezza, perché
Buonasera. Allora, come stiamo uscendo? Vedi? Io ce ne 5 stanno.
No, ma tra l'altro ti dico un'altra cosa, la telecamera se la colleghi allo schermo non registra più.
Cosa registra?
Non registra la telecamera. Come c'è l'HDMI? Non registra.
Registra?
Non registra.
Cosa non registra?
Non registra, non va in scheda.
Aspetta, noi stiamo registrando su YouTube. In questo momento siete tutti quanti su YouTube, ti ho visto che state girando. Quindi è tutto registrato su YouTube.
Ah, beh, allora è lì. Però si scarica la batteria e quindi ogni volta, io mo l'ho cambiato un paio di volte, però prima che arrivavo, vedi che non... Sì, io
l'hai visto? Hai visto che avevo ragione? Che incredibile questa cosa. Hai visto che
Lo
avevo
sta
ragione?
constatando.
Io non ci puoi credere.
Io ho detto
quando tu me lo dicevi, ma tu hai fatto e ti ho fatto tutto, di tutto e di più.
Incredibile che abbia ragione.
Sì,
no?
prova.
È incredibile cosa.
Siccome siamo in un vecchio convento, mi sa che l'idea sua è... Prova.
Tu gli hai detto.
Questo l'ha preso, visto?
Ma non so se prende da qui.
Davvero, nel senso che Di tutte le abbiamo provate e non è logico.
No, ho detto un'altra cosa.
Quindi è lo spinotto.
Chissà perché,
È lo spinotto
chissà perché la sera funziona tutto e il mattino dopo no, c'è uno spiritello della casa che gira.
No, è lo spinotto.
E lo spinotto tu dici... Allora,
Proprio del PC, eh?
Tesoro, l'altro
Ne voglio fare un'altra ultima prova con...
Qui c'è questo, quello del dopoguerra.
Ma nel dopoguerra
No, non ce la fa a
quella è
fare.
punica, la guerra è punica quella. Non è dopoguerra, questa è la
È
guerra
sempre
punica.
dopoguerra.
Guarda di nuovo.
Poi ho preso uno che dovrebbe essere più potente di questo, in teoria, ma vediamo.
Basta computer, che adesso.
Mamma mia, si deve cascare il computer su...
Vedi, continua a farlo, anche se ci mette lo
spinotto.
spinotto.
I ragazzi gli hanno chiesto i PowerPoint delle lezioni di oggi, ce li hanno lasciati, ce li
Allora, la presentazione del Qualiere stamattina sì.
Quindi abbiamo due
Questo è
opzioni.
per solo
O non funziona lo spinotto, e
Però
quindi
c'è
non-
un'altra opzione ancora che si può fare se non vuoi fare
Ok, e
quello.
io le posso girare.
Andare dai cinesi e prendere
Allora,
USB
diciamo
spinotto.
Perfetto.
Esistono le schede
Prima
audio.
vediamo di capire se
Ok,
il problema sta qua.
Però questa mo è una cosa che devi fare tu.
Sì, ma è chiuso mo il...
No, che devi fare tu nel senso che devi
Impostare.
mettere tutte le impostazioni.
Tutto impostato.
Metti,
C'è
vieni
il
qua.
zoom scaricato.
C'è tutto.
Va bene.
È la copia. È la copia di questo. L'ho portato l'ho fatto apposta perché qualsiasi cosa ne abbiamo due computer. Se questo salta, muore, uccide. Infatti quando oggi non
Le sta
funziona...
prendendo tutte adesso.
Le prendi tutte?
La ragazza? E riappassa?
E
Sei andato a prendere l'ambasciata?
No, ancora... Sì, l'abbiamo portata noi. Abbiamo la polizia
Wow.
con noi. Ti serve qualcosa della polizia?
Quest'ora.
Al momento no, grazie. Non per ora.
Quindi stacchiamo qui.
Sì, e lo attacchiamo qua. Aspetta, adesso chiudo un attimo tutte le finestre aperte, perché ci stavo lavorando ovviamente.
Quindi non ti frega niente che non registra sulla scheda se registra su YouTube. L'unico problema è la corrente. che
Esatto, a me
ogni
quello che-
30 minuti salta una batteria.
In stazione.
Chi?
Vado a prendere la ragazza io. direi.
Va bene. L'importante è che sia arrivato come... Secondo me.
Intanto cominciamo a staccare questo.
Potrebbe essere qualcosina da questo punto.
No, è lo spinotto.
No, cerchiamo di capire, se è lo spinotto prendiamo un altro spinotto. E abbiamo risolto...
No, è lo spinotto del computer, la femmina
E
all'interno.
prendiamo un altro spinotto e dici tu quello USB, no?
Ah, USB.
Tu l'hai detto.
Sì, sì.
Se non è lo spinotto invece... se non è lo spinotto bisogna capire cos'altro è, perché noi la tecnologia è bella perché non pensa, quella è, non è che può essere così.
Però una cosa è certa, quando tu inserisci nello spinotto del computer il jack per la cuffia, per il microfono, ti chiede in tutti i computer tranne in quello.
Non è educato.
È anarchico.
No, è anarchico, ma si muove pure lo spinotto, quindi secondo
Ti sto
me...
dicendo, se è lo spinotto, come vedete. Quello che dicevo io è che questo è C.
Questo è il ricevitore, la videocamera.
No, sai perché? Perché questo qua c'ha l'ingresso così.
Sì, ce l'hai.
Ce l'ho? Ok, benissimo.
Uno ce l'ha.
Bisogna però mettergli la cosa, internet.
Lo legge?
Che lo legge?
Ma
Internet non è disponibile. Ce l'ha, però non c'è disponibile.
Te l'ho detto?
Ci vuoi dare un'occhiata tu? A vedere
Posso provare qualcosa
per lo spinotto. Noi ci interessa che si collega il microfono.
Siamo sempre
No,
lì,
no,
o è
no.
una cosa o un'altra.
E poi i cinesi sono sempre aperti. Che stai dicendo che non...
Io c'è soltanto un ambasciatore che mi devo controllare, solo questo.
Dettaglio.
Questo dettaglio. Posso presentare l'ispettore?
No, non prende internet ovviamente.
No, non giochiamo, c'era quell'altro.
Ovviamente. Perché se non è una cosa è un'altra.
Allora,
Ma che scrive, dice ti presento qua. Ok,
Vedi che adesso li prendo tutti.
perfetto. E questo alla TV. HDMI 2. Fai tu, sempre tu. E niente, noi dovremmo collegare.
In poche parole non ti va l'audio.
Esatto. Noi
Come cosa vuoi registrare l'audio?
come?
Cosa vuoi usare per registrare l'audio?
Il microfono, che è questo qui. Ed il microfono è qui.
Ok.
Ma vedi, guarda, già che l'attacchi, se tutto spente e tu attacchi questo, qui si dovrebbe fermare, invece continua, vedi?
Il fatto è che
Non lo riceve. Non lo so che caspita. Ah, aspetta. Faccio luce, no? Vedi, niente. Secondo me tutto da qui parte.
Scusa, possiamo provare ad attaccarlo qui solo per vedere se.
Sì.
Se
Fa quel gioco.
o no? Sì.
Se è lo spinotto, dici tu.
Sì.
Ma ancora deve.
L'unica cosa
Mi sa che non è il computer,
Ma ci abbiamo provato
Non
tutti.
vorrei. Possibile, perché almeno qui mi fa quella.
Ma guarda, prendi uno spinotto qualsiasi, tieni questo del microfono, che è lo stesso.
Da te questo non adesso?
No, perché sta caricando Zoom, magari è dietro.
Questa è una bella cosa, no? È proprio una bella
Sempre
cosa.
successo.
Sì, ti esce da qua la cosa.
Sì.
Cosa vuoi fare? Microfono, cuffie,
Microfono,
stereo.
cuffie, microfono e cuffie, eccetera, eccetera. Non deve aspettare che fa, guarda quello così, a dire cose.
No, lasciamo
È inesatto.
Se riusciamo. Avere una capa in
Se
qualche
sei
modo.
vicino è perfetto.
Sì, secondo me se mettiamo la scheda USB microfonica la prende.
Sì, secondo me la prende
Perché?
più facile, perché l'USB lo deve pigliare per
Quello
forza.
penso che dei cinesi gioca. E dovrebbe chiuderlo.
Ok, di trovare lo trovo.
Qui lo trova.
Sì.
Ah, vedi. E prova lì, fai le stesse. La stessa
Facciamo così
operazione.
e in caso mi sposto da là.
Sì.
Ah, per sbaglio ho chiuso Zoom questo.
Ti lascio la.
Guarda, ho chiuso Zoom, te lo riapro subito. Tanto senza internet non si applica.
Sì, non si applica. Sì.
Io faccio lo stesso gioco però col connettore
Questa
suo.
prova, sì.
Quindi tu in teoria dovresti mettere questo qui, giusto?
Sì. Però tu lo puoi provare anche con l'archetto.
Lo provo direttamente su questo così alla grezza, vediamo cosa ne esce.
Devi ovviamente usare questo. Così se chiudi non deve più fare il nodo di
Non mi arriva? Ok.
Avvicinati con la sedia.
No, non mi sa.
Non lo vede, giusto?
Bluetooth, no, questa porcaria. Perché lì la soluzione l'avevo trovata, però qua fa ridere la situazione.
Cuffia auricolare. Così.
L'ho staccato quindi un'altra volta.
Devo capire qual è, capito? Se me lo trovo è qual è. Perché non me lo trovo, vedi?
Non sono disponibili informazioni sicuramente legge.
Rockbox One, hai qualcosa Rockbox?
Potrebbe essere questo?
Si può staccare, sì. No, riattacca?
No? Può essere la... no, il proiettore no. Allora stacchiamolo. C'è lo stesso? C'è?
C'è lo stesso.
No, non c'è.
Maledizione, guarda che... Vediamo che nome mi dà di qua. Così in caso dovessi pescare tra i tanti. Ma voi siete tecnico informatico?
Io niente, la parola informatica io ci faccio solo i montaggi con i computer.
Ma mi è piaciuto.
Solo a dopo Premiere. E ci scrivo gli articoli con i Mac, con il tastato. Vedi qui gruppo microfono, gruppo auricolare, però non se lo piglia, non lo riconosce.
No, questo qua sì, guarda, è quello là selezionato.
Questo
Cuffia Connex anti-SST.
Dobbiamo andare a prendere uno di quelli.
No, lo stacco, rileva che l'ho staccato.
Sì, sì. Un USB che ha sia cuffia che microfono. Ci saranno dei cinesi qui. Una schedetta video,
Sì,
insomma, dico io, se ce l'hanno.
Che deve essere, cioè che da AUX diventa USB, insomma.
Sì, un USB qui la utilizziamo per
se no da AUX a C.
perché finora abbiamo lavorato con la mia telecamera che riceveva il segnale
e si prendeva il microfono
e lo mandava tramite HDMI.
Sì.
E quindi funziona.
Il microfono sopra la telecamera.
Ma ora da oggi non c'è più la mia telecamera. No, non lo fa. No. È quella.
Qua abbiamo l'uscita.
Perché noi quando inseriamo lo spinotto qui del microfono.
Qua ti puoi collegare solo con l'USB. Non puoi fare diversamente.
Perché se riuscissimo anche in quel caso a capire quello.
Avremmo risolto, sì.
Se no un microfono Bluetooth. Te lo collego a Bluetooth, ciao, grazie, arrivederci.
Chi vince?
Il Milan.
Solo sta prova possiamo fare, andare a prendere un USB.
Ma avete provato su questo?
No,
sì,
quello non funziona internet.
No, non funziona internet.
Lì riesco a trovare il microfono.
Qui si trova il microfono, come
qua no.
Possiamo mettere un hotspot almeno solo per vedere se...
Sono due le soluzioni, o un microfono Bluetooth o un microfono o uno sdoppiatore da AUX o USB e provare a collegarlo con quello.
Perché se fai così non te lo crei più il problema con la fotocamera là avanti. Se si dovesse spegnere, non c'è manco visto possibilità di collegarlo alla rete.
È questo sto vedendo, perché se fosse solo collegato fa...
No, ma mi sa che tutte le telefotocamere non ce l'hanno questa possibilità. Quindi ogni volta per cambiare la batteria va smontato questo. Prima c'è, io l'ho fatto 2 volte, ma dura 20 minuti la batteria.
No, quella Canon no.
Quella prossima
quella Canon no, quelle sono qua in China.
29 minuti è durata.
Eh sì, 29 minuti, e 29 minuti l'altra, il tempo che la Canon si ricarica.
Sì. Il problema è che devi spegnere e non va bene. Ma se fosse arrivata la telecamera
esatto,
non
questo
problema.
lunedì abbiamo la telecamera. Sì. E quindi spero che questa cosa sostituiva insomma in qualche modo.
Sì, no, lunedì sì, però.
Che stai pensando? Dai, che c'è?
Che cambia qualcosa e la telecamera arriva.
Allora, io devo fumare una sigaretta perché sono...
Puoi anche non fumarla,
Sì, certo, ma la voglio fumare, quindi...
Sei sicuro?
Anche 5 minuti arriva. Allora, facciamo così. Tu la potresti andare a prendere sto coso?
Infatti dove lo trovi?
Da Chinatown.
Sarebbe?
Sotto il Tirreno. Tu hai capito cosa devi prendere?
Sì. Il fatto è vedere se ti funziona prendendo lo sdoppiatore da AUX a USB.
Cinese soprattutto.
Ah sì, tanto ne abbiamo comprate.
Guarda, mi ha fatto comprare l'ira di Dio là dentro.
Chi ti ha fatto comprare? Tu hai sbagliato tutto.
Ho sbagliato tutto.
Guarda, sono andato io, sono
Sì,
andato a prendere
sì.
la Lumia Euro, funziona perfettamente.
Abbiamo
Tutti
Due
e
ne
quattro-
ha comprati.
Ti vanno tutti e quattro in contemporanea?
Sì.
Ma,
Ma ha comprato
ma è
Lumia
alimentata a
Euro.
corrente, giusto?
Sì.
Ok, per quello.
Allora, potete vedere come questo.
Sì, ci proviamo.
Ok. Ci dobbiamo riuscire, noi ci proviamo. Gli altri ci provano, noi ci riusciamo. Questa è la differenza.
Ma io me ne posso andare, non
Tu puoi
dovevo...
fare quello che vuoi, l'importante è che sappiamo
Vediamo,
cosa
prima
fare.
funziona.
Ok.
Ma usare questo computer, no?
Possiamo
Non
fare
si
quello che
connette.
vogliamo, non hai capito?
No,
Hai
ma
la
connette.
possibilità di fare quello che vuoi, l'importante è che questo computer si collega a internet. Perché se si collega a internet è tempo perso, capito?
Ma come che non si collega? Da dove parte? A cosa siamo connessi? Prima di tutto.
Parla con lei, non lo so.
Che cosa?
A cosa siamo connessi?
Cantina anche lì. No,
Cantina, modem dov'è?
è là. Ma non ha...
A un certo modo funziona, a un certo modo no.
Esatto.
Un LAN?
No.
No, non c'è l'uscita LAN lì. È un
Scherzando.
modem senza uscita LAN.
No,
Pur non capendone nulla, io almeno queste cose ho detto ci prendiamo un cavo LAN e andiamo niente LAN. E il tecnico gli ha fatto fare tutte le operazioni per telefono, la prossima, quindi cambia lui.
perché più là, no? Che problema c'ha sto computer? No?
No, non è il computer, è questa linea maledetta che va dove preferisci. Noi non riusciamo a collegarci tutti.
Ma tutti, non è che solo...
Non è che sono troppi dispositivi?
Ma al momento non
sì.
c'è nessuno. Per esempio io fino adesso col cellulare sono sempre stata collegata, oggi non si collega.
Ah, pure te che ha fatto.
Ma anche col computer dal primo giorno. Il primo
Quindi
giorno
diciamo spegnendo
funzionava.
questo rischiamo anche di non collegarci più.
No, esatto.
Eh.
È l'ultima speranza
Ah,
che
madonna.
abbiamo. L'unica cosa che posso fare è fare da hotspot adesso a questo e tentare quantomeno.
Non
Ma se
prende
poi
qua.
tanto non...
No, metto
Può.
fuori il cellulare.
Però che concludi se poi dopo...
In quel modo concludiamo.
Cioè?
Il microfono qui lo colleghiamo.
Sì, però non hai concluso niente se non c'è la connessione perché...
Perché poi vediamo al massimo in qualche modo che troviamo.
Perché secondo me l'adattatore...
Potrebbe dare problemi.
Sì, a parte che la qualità farà
Vabbè,
schifo.
intanto vediamo se effettivamente questo funziona come audio.
Sì, proviamo, dai. Spostiamoci di qua. Nel caso o cuffie Bluetooth o un microfono Bluetooth, non so che ci possiamo inventare. Quella è la soluzione.
No, niente microfono Bluetooth perché deve essere collegato al mix. Quindi niente, deve essere col
Ho
cavo.
capito che è tutto da
Purtroppo sì. Il cavo.
In poche parole l'aux porta al mixer, il mixer esce per il microfono. Io già...
Una cosa normalissima sempre.
Io già l'ho collegato il microfono, come lo testiamo? Ok.
Sto cambiando cavetto. No, mettici questo, così ci mettiamo tutto bene.
Ok.
Tanto se andava
Lascio
quello.
questo a te. Vedi, qua me lo pesca proprio subito.
Redmi 10.
Ok.
Fai tu? O...
Metti D maiuscolo. Denise. 24. Denise.
Sì.
Ok. Punto esclamativo.
Ok.
Vedi se funziona il microfono?
Funziona.
Lo vedi?
Sì.
Prova. Ehi?
Sì, va.
No, però da lì lo percepisci.
No, ma da qui sono collegati. Ecco
Sei
qua.
sicuro?
Sì,
Lo vedi?
guarda che ti stacco. Vai.
Prova.
No, come ti ho detto va.
Ehi? Io penso che lo vedevi che si muoveva qualcosa.
Questo qua... Ti devo alzare un po'. Però aspetta, fammi parlare così, vai.
Prova. Ah, eccolo lì. Prova, aspetta che alzo io da qui.
No, di andare va al 100%.
Prova. Però non sempre. Ehi, no.
No, questo qui si muove solo quando tu... Quello si muove soltanto quando tu lo muovi, guarda. Vedi?
Ehi.
No, senza che tu mi dica guarda.
Sì,
Lo
non
basso,
mi
alzo,
Sì,
e mi
sì.
dice che ho alzato.
Sì.
È soltanto una cosa
Io
così.
voglio solo sapere se si sentiva.
No, sentite, si sente.
Ma non
Se lo
siamo
percepisce da
Il
lì,
PC.
perché lì dobbiamo poi vedere la traduzione, se percepisce per bene la voce per fare la traduzione, questo è il concetto principale. Per questo ci serve collegarci a Zoom. Però io non
Penso
so.
che la debba pescare per forza. Aspetta che entro da qui, cosa faccio? Cedi, iscriviti?
Accedi, però
Accedi,
io
però mi
non
serve
lo
il
so.
salvatore.
Appunto, io non so mo con cosa è entrato.
Perché qui mi serve l'accesso con la mail di Salvatore.
Non so con quale sia entrato.
No, qua il microfono va, quello
Aspetta che
è certo.
vedo se riesco a recuperare.
Penso che il fattore traduzione sia una cosa tranquilla. Perché il microfono pesca bene, cioè la senti la voce che è pulita. Quindi quello pesca la voce.
Beh, il fatto è che qui, anche se abbiamo il microfono, se non sei vicino al computer non percepisce bene la voce, quindi la traduzione va a caso.
Sì, però il microfono, cioè la traduzione se la prende dal microfono. Perché da qua è impostato il microfono.
Sì,
Quello
questo
che dovrebbe
quello
fare
che
col
dovrebbe fare
computer.
qui e qui non
Sì,
fa.
ma quello no.
Esatto, questo è. Però aspetta che non so.
Che casino. Prova dov'è il microfono quello che è? Vai, prova a parlare un attimo. A, B.
Prova. Ehi, eccolo. Ehi, prova 1, 2, 3, prova 1, prova, ora c'è. Prova 1, 2, 3, prova 1, 2, 3, prova 1, 2, 3, prova 1, 2, 3, ehi.
Penso che così vada bene. Cosa ne
Sembra di
dici?
sì.
Ok.
Bisogna solo vedere se.
Riesci a impostare tutta quella roba che hai messo di là. Guarda tu, è incredibile questa storia.
Non c'è verso di farla andare, non è che dici...
No, quello è Zoom.
Ma siamo già in live, no? Siamo in live, no?
Penso, adesso. Ma tanto non c'è nessuno dall'altra parte.
Bene. Mi serve il Salvatore per Zoom, per la mail e la pasta.
5 minuti si andrà.
Ok. Io là non proverei più niente. Lasciamo questo computer qui e ci passiamo a Zoom, secondo me.
Zoom e tutte le...
Sì, Zoom è l'intelligenza che traduce.
Sì.
Ti fa fare l'accesso da Gmail?
Sì.
Allora vediamo però di collegarci.
Da Google.
Sì.
Allora, colleghiamoci pure questo.
Siamo una squadra fortissimi, ragazzi.
Bellissimo. Questo che ci... Poi questo magari spostalo più in qua così cade.
Yes. Ok, qui. Ci facciamo tutto la barra da me. Poi questo vicino.
Sì, adesso. Non è già andato.
Corrente, no? Qui?
Bellissimo.
Qua forse.
No. Quello si spegne. Corrente, l'abbiamo qui.
Ma che strano. A lei?
È lei. Allora la facciamo girare da dietro. Così quando usate il computer siete comodi.
E quindi, mo è tutto, infatti è tutto acceso.
Che storia. Ok.
Salvatore.
Io mi trovo qui per puro caso.
Lo so.
Vedo che non ve lo dico, io sarei dovuto essere a quest'ora.
Dove?
Devo andare giusto a Paola a scambiare una scheda video e una scheda di rete di un computer. Sì, avevo proprio al motorino, ero passato un attimo in paese perché Salvatore mi ha detto ti devo parlare. Ho detto ti porto lo zaino col motorino, ho detto tipo postino, no?
E invece?
E invece no, mi trovo così col motorino. Quindi nulla. Cosa facciamo? Riunione, partecipa, condividi schermo.
Cambia direttamente quella là, che ti dà in corso questo.
Cambia.
Esatto.
No, ma cambia.
Devi entrare su questo.
Volgerà. Ora, adesso, subito.
C'è il credo che steccheggia.
No, è leggermente in ritardo.
La connessione è il problema, ragazzi.
Sì, ora sì, in questo caso sì, perché
No,
sta
non traduce.
sbagliando tutto. Sta sbagliando. Quindi, oddio,
Secondo me è la connessione. Attenzione. E qual è il problema?
se io spengo, se io spengo,
Io canto.
se io spengo, non c'è niente. Io canto, ah, poi è finito. Basta, ora non ci dovrebbe essere più niente. E invece c'è. Sta prendendo da qui allora. Prova, prova, prova.